Hey, welcome back to Atheist Edge. I'm Jim, and I have a special guest with me, Suris The Skeptic.
How's it going?
Great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
We are at, this is a pre-recorded show, we are at the Faithless Forum in Dallas, Texas. It's a panel, first ever atheist, YouTube only, run by YouTube atheists ever, the first ever atheist panel. So I first met Suris today. I became a fan of his a couple weeks ago.
From the Prophet of Zod videos.
The Prophet of Zod shouted you out, and I looked you up, and some great content so far.
Thank you.
So where are you going with your channel?
Well, right now I have a lot of different content on there. There's 2 interviews, so anyone who's in a country that doesn't necessarily allow you to have a voice as an atheist, I have interviews for people from those countries, places in like the highly Muslim populated countries. I have one from Egypt. He was fine with me giving his country. The other one was not fine with me giving his country. But pretty much anyone like that, I'll go through and I'll edit the audio and post to keep them anonymous. But that way they can have a voice that gets to a few people. I also have some philosophical videos on there as well. Like one of them that apparently Prophet Azad really liked was Is God a Triangle? Where I go over...
I saw it.
Yeah, where I go over the correlation between a character like God and then something that we normally take for granted, but in reality is abstract. Because a triangle realistically is just an abstract thought.
Right.
And I correlate that with, God is kind of the same way. We talk about it as if it's a tangible thing, and then we dial back and go, actually, no, it's an abstract thing that we just kind of put anthropomorphic values on afterwards. Yeah. A lot like a triangle or a number.
Or the number 0, or the color orange.
You can't hold
love.
You can't hold 1. You can't hold 2. I can't hold 10.
But I can hold
10. But I can hold 10 of something.
Right, 10 rocks. But the number 10 itself is an abstract concept.
Yeah, it's literally just something. It's a measurement. We used it to figure that out. And I've put on there that God is kind of the same way. I also have video takedowns as well, where I'll go over somebody saying something really silly on YouTube, and I'll do a takedown of that, which people have seen, thousands of. Ironically, there's a dichotomy on my channel, apparently. When I do the philosophical videos, creators respond very well to it and go, oh yeah, that's neat. But then whenever I do video takedowns, I get more views, and it's only my subscriber base that talks about that.
Do you get a lot of negative criticism?
It really
depends. Have you already
depends.
learned to tune out? How long have you been doing your channel?
I've only been doing it about 2 months. It's a very new channel.
Have you learned to tune out the trolls and just ignore them?
I have received some trolls. In fact, one of the trolls, it was a private message that I got from him saying that, your avatar is based on Thrall, and Thrall is a theist. I'm like, okay.
World of Warcraft, right?
Yeah, World of Warcraft. I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. Sure, why not? I'm
ashamed that I understand that reference.
I'm not. There actually are some people who've commented on my videos that I actually really respect. Like Keith O'Dare, he commented on my videos after I did a video takedown of him, and he actually became my 100th subscriber. Wow. And then we've also got another person on there who, when I made my video on Hugh Ross, did an entire if you look at my comment section, it's flooded there of their responses where they took down every single thing that I said about Hugh Ross that was incorrect or that they saw as incorrect, and then I had to upload a video later saying, okay, these are the things that this person said that I did get wrong, like dark matter and dark energy. I got these things wrong. Yes. But then some of the other anecdotes that I said, I had to point out that no, in these areas, I don't think that I'm wrong. But I have gotten those. When somebody gives me a really good constructive set of criticism, which they gave and Keith gave at one point, I do full comment response videos for them, because I figure if somebody's taking 5 hours out of their day to go through that, then I'm going to take 5 to 10 hours out of my day and do a video response for them. I think they deserve that more than just a comment section.
That's good. We've had Hugh Ross, 3 episodes on our show with him. And the thing with him is he creates a lot of stir. Sometimes a guy like Hugh Ross, the old earth creationist,
yes,
you can sit back and let the Christians fight each other in the comment section.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They're split right down the middle with a guy like that.
Oh yeah.
And we tried to get Francis Collins on, but we struck out. But yeah, same deal. He's a genetic scientist. Yeah. He's a Christian, but he believes, wholeheartedly in Darwinian evolution.
I mean, even the Big Bang was from a Catholic bishop.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you go back that far, everyone was a theist. So any discovery ever made back then had to have been by a theist. But
oh yeah, in some form or fashion.
It's not because of that. It's despite that, though.
Yes, it's usually in spite of it. It started out as because of it. because the Catholic Church was doing a lot of the funding
Yeah.
for that. And then it was only like a little later on down the line where they started to say, actually, this stuff kind of spits in the face of what we're doing. We might need to dial this back a little bit, and that's where you start getting your divides.
Before we go any further, I need to point out that this is the first time Suris has ever shown his pretty little face.
Face reveal!
This is the face reveal. It's a first only on Atheist Edge. Now, in the future, talk about the way your show is going to go and what it's going to take to get there. So now, up till now, he's been an avatar of the cloaked with the Warhammer, and I will link that in the description below, so you'll see all the information.
We'll also have a picture somewhere there-ish in this area. Don't make him crawl. Don't make him fly everywhere.
I can do that.
Fair enough.
So what direction are you going to go now that you've shown your face?
I kind of want to keep the avatar because I enjoy animating him. I just recently got to the point where, the avatar will look at the audience when they're speaking and look at a video when the video is being presented, and then will actually blink and the mouth will open up and close depending on whether or not they're talking. I've slowly started to do that, and as I want to learn little bits of animation, I'm going to keep doing that on my channel because I do enjoy that. I do enjoy that format. But at some point when I actually have the equipment, I make very little money off of YouTube, tiny bit on Patreon, and then obviously I'm not monetized yet. But once I get to that point and can actually afford equipment, then I'd like to do some videos where I'm speaking to a camera or using a camera to do things, maybe even do some things like street epistemology would actually be kind of neat.
Yeah.
I had somebody mention on Reddit that I need to try doing something like that. That was before I even hit 100 subscribers, so I might end up doing that. Right now, I'm just under 400.
Do me a favor.
Sure.
Because you're on a faster trajectory than I am. I'm at 1,100, but it took me a year. So I'll shout you out now, but then when you pass me up in the next 3 months, then you do the same thing for me.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
I'd already planned on that.
Okay.
Not that I planned on usurping you.
Hey, man, what did Thomas say? A rising tide raises all the boats. So,
fair enough.
We're all in this together, same team, right? Are you ready for rapid fire random grab bag questions?
You know what? Random grab bag questions sound awesome.
Pick a number between 1 and... Okay, what?
I'm prepared to be humiliated.
These are just way off the cuff. Some are fun, some are really deep.
Fair enough.
You never know what you're going to get, but you're going to pick it. Pick a number between 1 and 87.
I'll make my girlfriend happy, 33.
That was the year that Jesus died.
Sucks to be him.
Yeah, that was the age Jesus was when he died.
It's also her favorite number.
Oh, okay.
It's 3, so we just go with that.
Which argument from the other side of the religious debate is the most compelling to you?
Ooh, that's weird.
Take as long as you want.
There's actually 2 arguments that used to be very compelling, and now it's kind of one that is compelling, but not for the reasons that you'd think. The first one used to be the fine-tuning argument. I used to have a really hard time with that.
That's mine.
I've
even told Christians that's an actual crack in my dam.
Well, the thing that I finally learned about the fine-tuning argument is, one, if you just take Earth as an isolated system, then yes, the fine-tuning argument works perfectly. But if you look at Earth and then look at every other thing we can see in the universe, not necessarily in the cosmos if we use Carl Sagan's terminology there, everything we see in the universe, so far we have not managed to see much life out there. I mean, we do have some things like the tardigrade that can live in like low Earth orbit for brief periods of time. So obviously we know that there is life that can exist in really, really harsh conditions. But so far as sentient life is concerned, the universe isn't really fine-tuned for that.
They've survived all 6 major extinctions on planet Earth.
Yes, and there's a reason for that. They're microscopic cockroaches.
Yes, and they're cool looking.
They really are. We call them water bears.
Yeah, water bears, yeah. And they got like little buttholes for mouths.
They really do. But whenever the fine-tuning argument used to be given to me, I was like, I can't really give an answer to that because, yeah, the universe does seem really fine-tuned. But the way that I've realized it now is that if you, and take it as somebody who plays RPGs, if you have somebody rolling a set of die, and they're rolling it for...
Speaking my language now, baby.
And you're rolling that set of die for 14 billion years, eventually you're going to hit the numbers you're looking for. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of trajectory at that point. The other thing with that
fine-tuning, yeah.
If you were to listen to how Matt Dillahunty says it, and I can't say it exactly like him, I'm not quite that eloquent, but one of the things that he points out, because he's a magician, he knows that there's only a 1 in 2 million chance that any particular hand of cards is going to come out when he's looking through a deck of cards. And if you associate any type of value to the hand that you draw, oh, it was only a 1 in 2 million chance that I would have drawn this hand. But realistically, you could have said that about every hand you draw there. Every hand you draw out of that deck has a 1 in 20 million chance of happening, or 1 in 2 million chance.
It's cognitive bias. You ignore the misses and you only concentrate on the hits.
It's also
right?
we also call that post hoc, where you're
Post hoc,
associating
ergo
everything.
propter hoc?
Yeah, where you associate everything post hoc, and then it allows you to make an a priori afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
The other argument that used to get me a lot was the historicity of Jesus. Because there's obviously a clear divide between the historicists and the mythicists, and I don't really fall in either one. I've read Richard Carrier's book, which converts a lot of people to mythicists. It's not that it's not convincing.
I'm a historicist. I think he did exist.
But there's also the set of people that say, well, yeah, Christ must have existed. For me, what it really boils down to, though, is whether I ultimately end up falling on either side of the argument. And I don't fall anywhere yet because I've only within the last 2 months really been reading a lot of it. I didn't even know who Tacitus was a month ago.
Oh, wow.
But when I thought it was funny when I started reading Tacitus, and I was like, he called Christians diseases. How awkward. And this is your guy? This is your guy, okay. And then going through Josephus and realizing that half your stuff is, or most of the stuff that calls Christ or Jesus Christ is
interpolation. It was plagiarism.
It was plagiarism. Well, not necessarily plagiarism, but
interpolation or pseudepigraphical.
Words that I do not quite yet understand.
It was added later.
Gotcha. Added afterwards there because I'm a layman and I use big words that I know, but not big words that you know. But what it ultimately...
You haven't been watching my show. I'm an idiot. We got 3 hosts. I'm the dumbest of the 3.
Well, I'm the dumbest person on my channel.
Nice, that's good.
Truthfully speaking, what ultimately ended up getting me is whether or not I ultimately end up on the historicist or the mythicist side, and I don't know which one I'm going to end up on because I'm still reading a lot of the information on it. What really gets me at the end, though, is that even if I become one or the other, what is it really going to change? Let's say that Jesus was a man, and 1 in 26 people were named Jesus around that time in Judea. Yeah. If you have that many people, you got a 1 in 26 chance of being right. And let's say that person did take on the title of Christ and was executed by the Romans, whether or not we have documentation of that, which as far as I can tell, we don't.
By the Romans, no.
But even if you have all of that, and you have an apocalyptic death cult that comes from that, amazing. But what does that ultimately say?
One in a sea of other cults, right?
Because we've had things in recent years. We've had incidents like Heaven's Gate, and
Branch Davidians. And
2,000 years down the road from here, when people look back on those, are we going to have people following those religions and saying that 2,000 years ago they ascended to the UFOs?
To the Hale-Bopp comet, remember?
Yes, exactly. They're going to go into the comet because it was the perfect time. They knew it. It was prophesized. Are we going to have 2,000 years from now, or is the human race going to look back at things like the Heaven's Gate incident and look at it the same way that we look at Jesus Christ? So whether or not it happened might not necessarily change what ultimately came out of it. We know that a religion came out of it, but we know that religions have come out of several people, whether true or false. There are religions now that, there are religions in India that put people on a pedestal and call them God, and then attribute miracles to them, but they're still alive, and they can demonstrate that that doesn't happen, but those religions still happened. 2,000 years down the line, it's not necessarily going to matter.
Exactly.
So whether I fall on one end of the argument or not, I don't think that's going to change anything, and I don't think it changes anything for history either.
No, not a.
You can have Jesus in Judea, but it doesn't.
Not a tinker's cuss.
You can have a Jesus in Judea, but it doesn't make him God.
How are we on time?
We are at 5 minutes till 20.
One more question.
15 minutes.
Oh, 15 more? We can maybe get 2 more. Okay.
Probably
Pick a
depending.
Pick a number. Yeah, I know, right?
Let's go with the Catholic Church's favorite number, 9 or 8, because they don't really care which one an altar boy is.
You just looked at the paper.
I'm so laser focused.
It just went right over.
That's pretty messed up.
It is.
I bet you got some good Catholic.
I grew up in a Christian private school. I wanted to be a
altar
theologian.
boy jokes, don't you?
Altar boy
jokes. He wanted to be a preacher when he was younger, so when he started learning those jokes, he's just like, man, I'm glad I didn't grow up.
So you're saying that just like the church, you would say it. The difference between you and the church is that you don't know it well enough, so you won't say it, but they don't know the Bible well enough, so they will say it.
Oh, nice segue. All right, 9 or 8. All right, so it's either going to be a social justice question or an Islam question.
Let's go with Islam. I've been tackling them a lot recently.
Are all religions equally dangerous to society?
Yes and no. Yes, I think the idea of a religion, the idea of religion itself, is incredibly dangerous to society. So when you have an idea like religion that does have dogma behind it, and there are people who are going to follow that dogma irregardless of what it says, because you're going to have fundamental Jainists who will attack people, not necessarily attack people, because they don't want to attack people at all.
Yeah.
They're very nonviolent.
They'll
but
mock you.
They will definitely mock
practices.
you for eating meat.
Yeah.
But you've got a fundamental Christian and a fundamental Muslim. Which one's more dangerous? It really just depends on the society that they're in.
Of course, I'm going to say the Muslim.
I'm going to say
I'm going to cite Pew results that show a substantial percentage of the Islamic population that is maybe not the ones that actually pull the trigger and plant the bombs, but they are in
still
favor.
supported it.
To support it is to condone it.
And that's why...
And if 40% of a population of 1.6 billion is a lot of people.
Well, not to mention...
even if you're not throwing the gays off, giving them flying lessons off the top of a building, still, even the fact that you support that is a problem.
Well, not to mention, I think that which one is more dangerous really just depends on the society. If you have a theocracy that is Christian theocracy, I would argue that in that society, the Islamic fundamentalist is much less dangerous than the Christian fundamentalist, because in the society that they're in, one of them has more freedom to push than others.
But they always go back to abortion clinic bombings. And when was the last one? It was decades ago. I mean, what actual acts of violence have fundamentalist Christians caused? If we're just talking about acts of violence and terrorism.
As far as compared to, if you take the entire world into account, of course they do much less.
Right.
They do infinitely less. But
can I interject? Okay, when you're talking about fundamentalist Christians, and you're grouping
this
them
might
together
end
like
up on the final video, just so you know.
I don't care.
Okay.
My face isn't on there. I don't
All
care.
right.
When you're talking about fundamentalist Christians, they're the exact same as fundamentalist Muslims. Because even though Muslims are bombing people, those fundamentalist Christians are going and telling you that you can't save your life.
they're also...
That you cannot get an abortion because even though you might bleed out on that table giving birth, that baby's still more.
It might not be blood shed in the streets, but it's just as dangerous or the threat of hell.
Or
what does that do to a child's brain?
It's almost abuse.
It's the same thing as like if my dad raised a belt at me every time I said the word pasta, I would learn not to say the word pasta.
Behavioral conditioning.
Yeah.
It
Pavlov.
You to think and act
B.F.
a certain
Skinner,
way,
Pavlov,
and that makes it just as dangerous because if next year a new Bible gets printed that they found some revelation where all Muslims need to die. What's going to stop Christians from doing the same thing that the Muslims are doing?
There are actually
Dubai and bombing,
There are actually several Christians who still believe. I'm using several because you can't really count the amount. But there's a group of fundamentalist Christians who still believe that if we happen to find a Canaanite or an Amalekite, that we must still kill them. If they happen to exist in the world, they still have to die.
Or if they're a descendant or anything.
Okay.
Yes,
because there are no more Canaanites.
No, there aren't. But if you had if you had a descendant going down the line, then you had to kill them. It's just like how in Missouri, it was either Missouri or Wisconsin, you could legally kill a Mormon for 100 years. Missouri. It was the Mormon execution law. For 100 years, it was legal.
Kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding. Aaron Ross talked about this. Yeah, you could kill.
I missed that one.
It was literally a law order to hunt and kill Muslims, not Muslims, Mormons. And
wow.
That was a thing that happened in our country. It was 1967, I believe, that law was repealed. That's very recent. That a law that said you could legally execute people within your own country. And that's why I think that it really all boils down...
Without due process of law. Just
without due process. You could just kill them.
If they were a Mormon, if they identified as a Mormon or made
it was a Mormon Extermination Act.
Acknowledgement they were Mormon and you could kill them. I
Wow.
lived in Missouri, and this is still a thing that they practice in some of the smaller cities.
Yeah, Gallatin, Missouri is where
Yeah.
they went there, and that's where they say the Garden of Eden is, Gallatin, Missouri. And that's before they went off to
Jesus
Utah.
appeared to the Indians.
All right.
So yeah, I think on paper, all instances of theology, all instances of religion are equally dangerous. In practice, it just depends on what society is willing to give them power.
Right now, 2018.
It would be Islam.
Okay.
In
I'm
2018, it would be
I
Islam.
was just trying to get you to say the words. Okay, we can agree. We don't have time for another one, do we? We probably got to get back up there.
It's
Let's just wrap.
What time is it?
Let's put a bow on this.
5:46. We can probably do one more.
Okay, one more quick one.
One small question.
Quick number.
Quick number. 72.
These are going good, man. I like this.
72.
Okay.
We'll go with the last one printed.
I think I was up to. Oh, I'm only up to 70. I lied to you.
It must be 70 then. We go with 70.
What is the most expensive thing you've ever broken in your life?
That's an easy one. I've broken several cars. I have
Why
wrecked
has it never dawned on me that a vehicle could be one of these answers?
No.
'Cause I'm thinking a pocket watch or a phone.
Out, right? Because our current car, as it sits, is worth maybe $2,000. Right?
Yeah, but what?
Do I have something
When
that
I
was
wrote
worth
that
more?
down, it never dawned on me a vehicle. I'm thinking a pocket, something on you,
Yeah, this is.
a really expensive pair of sunglasses or something.
We were walking upstairs to our apartment, and he was holding his personal built PC. He built it. He bought the parts for it. It's valued right now at
More than the car.
More than the car.
It's the PC that I edit on right now.
You're using the same software as Thomas?
No.
Oh.
No, I'm using...
Your mouth moves when you talk in the character? Sorry.
Thomas is using, whatchamacallit, what is it? He uses Go Animate.
But
it's the same
kind of
thing Zod uses.
When you talk, his
I
mouth
edit
moves.
I edit everything
do that
manually. I do all of my stuff
You-
manually.
I've seen Thomas. He sets up the thing and he just talks into it and the mouth automatically
Yes,
moves.
and I've actually had Zod say that, hey, do you want me to edit just the mouth moving whenever you do your stuff
Or
to
you
make
can
it
have
easier
it
for
go
you?
like do.
And I'm
him.
like, well, one, I upload 2 videos a week, so I can't get in contact with you every time I need my mouth to move.
I do once every 3 days. That's about the same.
And no, me, all of my every time my avatar blinks is because I inserted that frame myself.
I've seen him sit there for
All right.
over an hour putting one in, and then he'll do it over
That's
and
gonna
over
get
and
old.
over. It is.
You're gonna burn out. You got to go another way.
Well, what I
I'm 1 year in and I'm burning out.
what I
and
ended
I don't
up doing
even animate.
what I ended up doing was I took several instances of my avatar blinking at different intervals, and I
you
would
just
copy
use that
paste, and I would put
in a
it at
loop?
different points. Not necessarily in a loop, just put it in different
You
points
just
in the
have it
video.
ready to go so you can
Yeah.
bring it down. Yeah.
And I do it from scratch in the beginning each time because it's just easier to do that in HitFilm. HitFilm doesn't give you a lot of options. It gives you the ones you need to make something look professional, but it doesn't give you a lot.
So real quick. to
Okay,
finish
what
the
were you
story,
saying? Yeah.
The most expensive thing he's ever broken. We had just gotten back from our tech guy's house. He had helped us build it, and we were standing outside of our door, and he goes to open the door, not realizing that he had his computer in his hands. As he's opening the door, the computer whoosh, right in front of him, and he's like, no.
And
Everything got
no.
slow motion.
and on top of that, if memory serves, when we had it built the first time, we forgot to screw in the power supply.
Yep. And
So the
we-
power supply fell through the system.
And it just knocked everything out of place.
It did not get it. Well, it dislodged things, but it didn't break anything. So we were this
Heartbreaking.
close.
That's heartbreaking.
He kind of opened the door and he walked inside and he's like, no.
I was plugging
I
it
dropped
in.
$6,000 on a Digital Storm desktop once. Had it just, I didn't build it myself, but I told him exactly what I wanted in it. Liquid cool, just a monster with the neon.
Yeah.
And that was a decade ago, and it's still comparable to what's going on now. That's how far ahead of its time it was.
You future-proofed it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, mine can run anything from this generation, but as soon as we go to the next generation of gaming, it's not
It'll
going to
be
be
out.
able to run anything.
Are you running anything crazy? What are you playing? Your software?
Well, the software, obviously, of League of Legends doesn't take a lot.
So
but
many
I play,
people are playing that
I
nowadays.
play a ton of League. I enjoy it because it's a great way to play
I'm
games
Civ
with friends.
6 and Diablo 3, and that's it.
Diablo, I played Diablo 3 before they got expansions on it. I still haven't beaten the expansion. I just recently beat Sonic Forces.
I don't know that.
It's the latest Sonic the Hedgehog game.
Oh,
so older.
wow.
It's
Yeah, I used to play that, the old school one.
Forces is a weird game.
All right, so I've been talking with Suris The Skeptic. All his information is in the links below. And thanks so much for being on the show.
Awesome.
All right.
Great meeting
thanks.
you guys.
Atheist Edge. Walking the edge of what some consider offensive. But your feelings don't matter here, only facts. Edgy commentary on the dangers of doctrine, the foibles of faith, the bullshit of belief, the stupidity of superstition, and the idiocy of indoctrination. With razor-sharp wit, curiosity, and critical thought, we take an unblinking look at today's religions. We are Atheist Edge.